Welcome back to The Manual, a podcast where we talk about the stuff most men's podcasts are too afraid to touch. Today's episode is going to be wild, raw, and real. Buckle up. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Manual podcast with Nick. I'm Joe. We're continuing the series, The Nice Guy. This week, we're talking about emotions. Every dude's favorite topic.
All the feels.
Before I do that, I came across a clip this past week. I don't know, maybe the algorithm knows me, knows what I'm working on, and fed it to me as a result of that, or it was just totally random.
It's never random.
It was a clip of Matthew McConaughey with Chris Williamson on Chris's podcast, and he has in his book, I think in Matthew's book called Poems and Prayers, he has a poem called "Good Man." I watched another clip this morning of an interview he did with a woman. I don't know her name, but he said this poem is particularly popular with women. And I want to read his. It's not his direct poem because I couldn't find it, but what he said to Chris in their interview. He says there's a difference between a nice guy and a good man. A good man stands for certain ideals, and when those ideals are contested, a good man is not a nice guy. A nice guy gets along. They don't necessarily possess discernment or judgment, not sure what they stand for or stand against. Good men have ideals that when tested, a good man is not a nice guy. Being a good man is a lot harder for good reason. Not going to be most popular, not going to be most affable. Sometimes it means saying, I stand for this. This is for me. And that this is not for me. And if you trespass into my space upon me, my family, I will do my best to cause consequences. A good man is not looking for trouble, but if something comes causing trouble against him or one he loves, he will not stand down. Someday I'll get my hands on the direct poem. Maybe I'll order his book and we can read it at the end of our time. But I love that distinction between the nice guy and the good man. The good man is what I think Matthew is proposing, what we're trying to aim for, that integrated man in the middle between the nice guy and the macho jerk. And the good man is inherently attractive to many and troublesome to just as many, right? That he is one that others find safety within, and others find threatening. And ultimately, if we're going to live a good life, a whole and holy life, that kind of embodiment is necessary. And the nice guy syndrome that we're talking about, these different dimensions that we're talking about, come against that, come oftentimes directly opposed, especially in those moments when you need it most, when you need the good man most. An untrained nice guy will revert to that nice guy and shrink back from the opportunity to cause consequences. And that's why we're talking about this, because life is going to bring that for all of us, right? I mean, Nick, you and I could probably sit here for the rest of our episode today and talk about stories from our own life where things popped up that required us to be a good man. And the nice guy in us beckoned us to go that direction, to play nice, right? And we had a choice in that decision. If you don't, as is the case with everything that we teach guys in our freedom groups and systems and process, if you don't practice this, don't expect you'll get into the game and find it as a reflexive nature, a part of you to play that way, right?
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, when the stakes are low, being intentional about this, the way that I relate to my emotions, how they ebb and flow in my life, like we're talking about today, really matters to pay attention to now when things are calm, when the storm is not apparent, that it's not present, that you're not in it. Right? So that when they do come, you can stand against them. So you can be an actor instead of a reactor to those issues and circumstances you find yourself in. So I love that distinction. The nice guy, the good man is not in sort of a verbiage that we've used before as an archetype of what are we aiming for. We've talked about before, we did a few episodes earlier on before the Nice Guy series about becoming a dangerous man. That I think all of these things are similar, different ways of saying the same thing. What does it mean to be the ideal man? To embody masculinity in the ultimate way? And how do we get there? And that's what we're talking about here in this whole series with the Nice Guy is what are those characteristics, those defining qualities of the nice guy, and why are they so detrimental to your life? And then what's the practical work you can do as you practice in smaller capacities in your life so that when the game comes, you're ready to play.
It's so good. That reminds me, we started recently reading the Chronicles of Narnia. Tua actually understands it. She's almost 6 and she's in it. It's not just picture books now, and she's tracking, and we're reading through it, and it reminds me of this quote. I think it's either Lucy or Susan. I think it's Lucy talking to Mr. and Mrs. Beaver, talking about Aslan. She hasn't met Aslan yet, and she says, "Is he safe? Is he a safe lion?" And she said, "Safe? Who said anything about safe? No, he's not safe, but he's good. He's good." And we've said this before, Jordan Peterson says that a man must be dangerous. The safest man in the room is the most dangerous man, and often doesn't need to flex, doesn't need to show. We were talking about in my group yesterday, this guy pulled up to a guy next to him. He had a little Honda Accord, and he's driving next to this guy with a massive truck, and all this insecurity started coming up within him. And I don't know, who knows about this guy? It's sometimes our externals are a fruit of what's going on inside, and sometimes it's posturing, it's posing. So the nice guy needs to put on a show. Or growing up, I know you and I have said this before, but growing up, me and my buddies would say, sorry about your dick. Anyways, that's a little bit off topic, but becoming good doesn't require you to perform or show. It's this stability that's the guy we're looking to go for, that integrated man, that good man.
Yeah, it's a good example, and it's a dramatic example, and an assumption. Not all guys that drive
totally 100%
up trucks have small wieners or are compensating massively for something.
Right.
But really, a man is faced with two choices in life. Most often is that I build an external environment that tries to prove myself something different than what I truly feel about myself, or that I do the deep internal work to become something that I'm not currently. Right. And one's easier than the other, funny enough. It's easier to make enough money to be able to have all the stuff so that people think you are powerful or excellent or on top of the world, versus doing the internal work to have the capacity to be the protector of many, to be trustworthy with incredible power.
That's good.
And use it well, right? That those two things, the one is significantly easier than the other. And one will destroy you. I mean, it's like the idea that narcissism gets thrown around all over our culture today, right? It's like at the core of the narcissist is deep-seated self-hatred, not egotistical pride, right? It's like at the very root of his or her being is such deep self-hatred that they've created an alter ego that has to put everything else down below them in order to feel powerful, in order to feel enough, in order to feel worthwhile. Right. And so that's I think an important distinction and an invitation for us to reflect of what have I built externally, or when I'm in a weak place, what do I look to externally to try to manufacture the work that I'm not doing internally? And to use those moments as invitations of, okay, what's the deep work I could do right now to use this opportunity of nice guyness to engage this? And for me, so often that really fundamentally comes back to seeing those situations as opportunities versus threats, right? Being out of my window of tolerance, being out of being in anxiety or overwhelm,
Yep.
two emotions that I'm well familiar with, was a threat that I would shut down against, and I would perceive it as a threat, and it would remove me from engaging reality. And now, and two things happen. You extend your window of tolerance, you can handle more, and it's also necessary along the way that you won't always be able to handle all of it. And so you will become emotionally dysregulated. And it's important in that moment that your frame of mind towards it is, I want this. I want this to happen, right? We just had this situation on Wednesday. My son, I've shared before in this forum, had cancer. Every 3 months, he goes back in for a MRI, full brain, spine, 2-hour procedure or scan. And we had planned with the team that he was just going to try to do it without sedation this time. 2 hours sitting completely still for a 6-year-old. Because he's been sedated so many times that another 2 hours doesn't seem like much, but it has a real negative effect on the body. And we see the way that it affects his mental capacity in days to weeks following, and it does have a real significant effect. And then there's the long-term effect of it. So we felt like, hey, we'd love to try for him to be able to do this, and then we'll have sedation as a backup. And we had talked with him about the whole plan, had the whole thing geared up and ready to go, and then I got there, and nothing was as expected. Somewhere it was lost in translation. They were pissed at us because they didn't have in their chart that sedation was on backup, even though we had thought we were preparing for it, and we had come prepared. They didn't. And so they weren't really communicating clearly with me. So, like, the nurses are being sassy with me. There's all, like, Isaiah needs things to be... They need to be what he expects them to be in order for them not to be overwhelming to him. And there's like one thing after another, like little things like, oh no, you can't wear your pants into the room under your gown, so you have to take them off in this waiting room. And then I brought our other son there with him. So because you brought your son, even though we didn't communicate this to you, you have to stay behind, so you can't come with him into the. And so it's just like one thing after another of unexpected circumstance. That's like, oh my gosh, he won't get through this. And it was important for me in that moment to do one of two things, to be able to reframe, like, we can get through this, I want this, and to be honest with them. Like by the third nurse, who was all the radiologist tech, ended up telling me why they were all so upset with us, even though the other ones were just acting and not clearly communicating. I kind of made like snide or offhanded remarks about, well, if he refuses to do it, you guys are just going to have to cancel and come back. And I was like, that's a weird comment. And because again, I'm still fully expecting we have sedation as backup, because they didn't tell us we didn't. And so it's just like, I'm getting all this weird like sense of like something's off here. That why are they being so rude and weird? And then the radiology tech, and again, you know me in this situation, is like, I'm not shy about being honest in that moment of like, listen, this is what we had communicated last time I left this building. I was here, so I'm the primary actor. You weren't here last time, so like I'm the only one who actually knows what the plan was. This was the plan. It's not on us that you guys changed the plan or screwed this up. So we're going to figure out how to make this work, and it's going to happen today. And so two things had to be true, that I had to be willing to cause consequences, to be honest and straightforward of, this isn't on us, actually. We wanted the same thing you wanted, and you guys missed that. So that's in the past. And so now we're going to have to figure out how to do that with our set of circumstances now. What are we going to do? Right? And for me, the way I would have reacted, if I hadn't chosen to be in the difficult emotion, the anxiety that was building as they're acting weird, and then the tension that's created as she tells me why they're all upset. If I hadn't had the mental disposition of, I want this, I want to engage it and figure out, I actually want to be productive, to protect him and to get him through this.
Right.
I would have become angry, and my emotion would have been directed negatively at them, not communicating clearly, but becoming passive aggressive as they were, making snide remarks back to them, right? And it would have become I would have become the macho jerk in that situation of like, oh, you want to mess with me?
Yeah.
I'll mess with you back, instead of like, hey, you got like something's clearly going on. We need to figure this out, and be the actor versus the reactor to the feedback I'm getting. And so it's just like, as we talk about this today, it's a real clear example for me of a moment where I would have defaulted to the macho jerk in that environment or in that circumstance, but I had to want it, to welcome this obstacle, this friction, rather than being like, oh my gosh, all these unforeseen circumstances, woe is me. Why couldn't they have done this? I'm the victim. It's like, no, we have to learn how to pivot from this, work with Isaiah so that he feels comfortable and confident even in the face of things changing, and get through it, right? And then to be able to play that good man of, you guys are not intentionally, but you guys screwed up, which is infringing on the work that we've done to prepare him for this and get him through it. And then I just love I'm sure this is the case everywhere, but I very much dislike people in these environments that throw out absolute statements like, we never do this with kids under 7. This absolutely won't work. I've got, like, to me, that's like the red flag goes up, is like, we're
happy to be your first.
Well, funny enough, 2 hours go by. She comes back. He did amazing. Like, best kid, like, very rare that this, then all of a sudden he's an outlier. It's like, we know our kid. With my older daughter, wouldn't have worked. She's too fidgety, can't sit still for that long, wouldn't want to be in the context. As long as he can get there and feel safe, it's not an issue for him to sit there and do that. And it worked out great. And so is that, again, it's being in that middle ground of standing in the moment of confusion, and friction and change, and being able to choose that middle path of, oh, I don't want to react in passive aggressive or aggressive anger towards the situation. That doesn't help anybody. I'm going to communicate clearly to defend my tribe.
So good.
And to get all of us to a resolution that we can all celebrate, which is what happened.
I love it. This, you felt the anger without attacking, right? You actually, because attacking in bursts of anger and the macho jerk really is indicative of a nice guy or a guy being unwilling to feel it, to be willing to welcome it, and to walk through it. And I love what you said at a time or two, protector. Like the good man is a protector. It reminds me briefly here of a story. My buddy, his first kid years ago, he's a dentist, and he's kind of a nice guy. He loves harmony. He gets along. And he has got his first kid who's born premature, and you're kind of in foreign territory. You're in the hospital's terms. They kind of run the ship. They confidently think they throw out these superlatives or these just finalized statements of these extremes. And his kid was born early, and they basically said his blood work is a little different. There's a good chance he has whatever disorder. We're going to need to give him these injections. And the thing is, if they gave him the injections, they would need to give 3 injections of this every day for the rest of his life. And the reality is let's just give them the benefit of the doubt, right? They think they're trying to do their best. They are certainly indoctrinated in a certain way of thinking about the human person. And then there's malpractice. They don't want to get sued. My buddy's like, we're not going to do it right now. Give me till tomorrow morning. They're like, okay, but we have to do it tomorrow morning. Sleep on it tonight. So he stays up literally all night researching what are the statistics of my son actually having this. And it ends up being super, super, super low. The whole team comes in the next morning. Basically, we're going to do this. He goes, hold on, no, let's have a conversation. They're like, we have to do it. They start to pull out all the stuff, and they're getting ready to get over his infant newborn son, 7 weeks premature, and they're about to freaking inject him. And he steps in and he says, I won't say it here, but he goes, back the F up. Get back up. And they're like, whoa. And he steps in as the protector. And there's a few more stories that happen here. They're pretty thrown off by it. But he's like, back up. And turns out he doesn't have what they thought he could have had. But if he did, Let them do that. He'd have to. I just love this. He's willing to feel it, to step into it, to not attack, but sometimes you got to stand up. A good man is a man who holds his ideals, holds his boundaries, and ultimately is a protector for his tribe, as you're saying, for those in his. And as you're going through that quote earlier, something stirs within me. So even my buddy, who's kind of a nice guy, the good guy is within all of us. And it takes these moments to step in, to feel it. And we're talking about emotionality today, and it's not just numbing or an unwillingness to feel these emotions. It's not about becoming soft. Nice guys they're really just not emotionally strong. They're really emotionally of avoidance. So it's not about becoming softer. It's not about becoming overly dramatic in these moments that, right here that we're talking about in the hospital but that might call for, that will reveal what's going on inside. This is about emotional strength. The good man is a man who has emotional strength, emotional awareness, and emotional resilience through showing up in these real-time situations.
Yeah. Nice guys live in two gears, numb and overwhelmed. And I know both of them well.
Yeah.
And I think the invitation of both of these examples is that life is going to provide the opportunity to work out your nice guy. But if you're ill prepared for it because you don't know how to calm yourself down, how to feel emotion, how to not numb out reflexively, how to not operate in overwhelm in that state of fight or flight, or the state of freeze where you just become the passive man in the corner as the team does whatever the heck they want, and you don't intervene because you're too overwhelmed to stay up all night and to do the deep work, to be able to come to your own conclusion. Life happens to you and those that you love, instead of you being able to be an effector of it. And so it requires that it is okay, as it was with me, that your circumstance at the moment is to default into a state of numbness and overwhelm. Get to know it well. Increase your level of self-awareness to when you become that. Use it as a cue or a signal to you that something is happening that my system, my nervous system, my brain has learned is unsafe. Why? Right? And I don't need to over-index on all of the past of like, this is exactly where it came from, or this is the core memory where it's all started, and then we have to spend all our time back here to be able to, it can be helpful to be able to identify so that you more deeply understand what you needed in that moment instead of what you got back then. But learn to be able to give yourself what you need in that moment to come back into a state where you can manage to reset and reframe. It's okay. I actually want life to provide me these opportunities so that I can learn to become the good man more consistently. And then what do I do to be able to become it? What does this situation require? And that's like, to me, it wasn't an over analysis of like, so what does this situation call for? Or like what would a good man do in this situation? It was like you said, it's in you. But oftentimes the good man gets crowded out by the safety mechanism of threat level midnight, going to the point where you are no longer thinking. And so much of this comes back to that awareness building and learning to train yourself in calming down to the point that you can think clearly and act wisely. I mean, that what Matthew McConaughey said, lacking discernment or judgment are deficiencies of the nice guy. Well, both discernment and judgment requires you having thinking capacity and faculty available to you. And the nice guy doesn't, because he's run by that state of fight or flight, self-protection, shut down, avoid. And again, in smaller ways in our life, is like when I become avoidant, that doesn't really have a direct connection to some major external event. That's where the deep work gets done, so that when the major event does come, I will stay in it, that I will stand it, that I will use decisiveness like we talked about last week, that I will use good judgment, and that I will become a primary actor, that I will move, that I will engage, right? And that's operating in numbness or overwhelm obviously is not maturity, it's underdevelopment, right? And a common barrier or challenge guys have, I think, across the board, regardless of what you default into, is the feeling or sense that emotionality is weakness. But for the nice guy, emotions are not, becoming emotionally aware is not weakness. Avoidance is weakness, right?
Yep.
And emotions are signals. Like I said, anger is gearing you towards boundary protection. Fear is gearing you towards awareness. Pay attention to your surroundings. Yep. Sadness is awareness of depth. There's something in me that needs deep paying attention to. Shame is identity correction. Hey, you are doing something outside of your ideals that's not in alignment with who you are. Pay attention, right? They're all invitations. But most of us experience emotions as threats. Resolve this. Act to be able to get away from the emotion, to get it to go away, rather than to say, oh, negative emotion, that's a cue for what's going on below the surface, and then go deeper into that. A man who avoids emotion is a blindfolded driver. So when do you go numb? Or when do you blow up? Right? In your life.
Good.
Where is that? And how do you pay attention to allowing yourself to go deeper into this? Most nice guys, as far as it relates to relationships, lie about emotions. I'm fine. I'm good. I'm just tired. That's not honesty. That's hiding. And oftentimes it's because the emotion that's in him that's numbed out or is barely being held onto in that state of overwhelm is a learned management solution, right? To stay okay, to stay fine, to stay good, right? Until you hit your breaking point or until you spiral.
Yeah.
And so first, it's not so much a matter of like, well, you need to learn how to tell other people what you actually think. It's really what you said, Nick. You need to learn how to actually feel.
Yeah.
You need to learn how to become aware of what's within you and learn how to meet that resistance, to be able to feel it, and to practice. One of the tools we've spoken about often throughout this podcast of the feel it, name it, welcome it. Where do I experience it in my body? What would I name it? And then how do I welcome it? So this is a great exercise for all of us that you can practice right now in your life with yourself personally and then in relationships.
Yeah.
Right now, I feel blank. And don't start at the level of naming. Start at the level of bodily feeling, sensation, physiology. Where do you feel blank in your body? Right? No story. It doesn't need context. Well, this happened and this happened and this happened, so this. No justification. They did this to me, which made me feel blank. Just naming. I feel tension in my chest. I feel a bowling ball in stomach, heaviness on my shoulders, right? And it can be helpful to be able to come up for air every once in a while. What emotion have you been avoiding naming this week, right?
Yeah.
Again, most of us learned that anger equals trouble, sadness equals weakness, fear equals cowardice, hurt equals rejection. So we try to get away from them as fast as possible instead of what I said earlier as the invitation to this deeper level of freedom as it relates to emotion.
So good. So, just go ahead.
No, bring us home.
Yeah. No, I do want to double down on what you're saying, that experiencing your emotion is not one. It's a signal. It's not weakness. What you're saying is it points to something. It's revealing something. Might be a boundary crossed, as you're saying. Might be I feel out of control. With anger. But it's not weakness. It's this unwillingness to feel. That's what creates this atrophy in my ability to regulate and to be present in reality. Because for some reason, my amygdala is picking up, there's a threat. It's like, okay, well, actually, is this a threat? Can I feel it? Right. Name it, welcome it, as you're talking about. But it's, and we've said time and again that it's this, the nice guy that says, I'm fine. There's this unwillingness to really go there. And this could even be like good emotions, positive emotions. We got guys in our groups that talk about like sometimes it's like things are going really well. And I'm like, I'm at a like level 10. I'm joyful. There's like really good emotions. And sometimes when I don't like allow myself to feel this like joy and like really entering into it, if we suppress that, shut it down, that can even lead to acting out. So it's not just the negative emotions. It's like feeling it fully. And but even just even to go with the negative emotions of shame. I just, a lot of the streams of Christianity I've swam in over the last years, I used to I want to reject shame or renounce fear. And it's interesting. I don't know if any listeners have ever, taken authority, prayed against fear, prayed against shame. I do think sometimes and I'm all about deliverance ministry. I'm all about, renounce, I'm about that. But I do wonder, Joe, sometimes can there be, and I think there is, like a negative appraisal of the fear or of the shame, rather than really the shame is a fear of rejection oftentimes. What if there's something I can actually fully feel and walk through versus or even praying against things and praying for healing? And again, I love praying for healing, but I think sometimes it's like, I don't want any pain. I don't want any suffering. Get it out. Right. And versus, whoa, what can there be to teach me here?
Yep.
And even this experience of shame, can I be willing to feel it?
Yep.
What's this teaching me?
Yep.
And even the inner critic that'll come up, he's like trying to, it's this whole inner world that when we enter into, we can feel it, we can regulate, and there's strength, and it's scary as shit. It's like the only way through it is through it, and to do it imperfectly, to fail forward, but it's and it doesn't feel. We said this before. Courage doesn't feel like courage. It feels like fear, oftentimes. Yep. But it's willingness. We've said it a lot. It's this willingness to go there, to feel the joy, to feel the sorrow, to feel the fear, to feel the shame, and walking through it. This is emotions. They're telling you something. They're a gift, and if we're called to really walk through, feel it, regulate them, learn how to integrate them into action, rightly ordered action, which is what the good, lined up with our ideals, which is what the good man, this is what we're striving for, has done really well.
Yeah, I mean, I love the description. The image that came to me as you were talking about the peaks and the valleys is everybody knows the most boring places in America to drive through is middle America. It's all freaking flat, right? It's boring. It's so boring. But in our own personal lives, even though we pay boatloads of dollars to go to the peaks and the valleys of our country, we see the peaks and valleys of our own story, our own experience in a daily as threats to us, that we think that the most peaceful, stress-free way to live is to be emotionally flat at all times. And the reality is just not. It robs the vitality out of life. So this is the invitation.
Yeah.
Daily drill for the next 7 days. Right now, I feel blank, and I can still choose blank. My example might be I feel anxiety, and I can still choose to be honest to this person in front of me. I feel angry, but I can still choose to speak clearly and unabashedly about what I view needs to happen. Do it once per day. Your emotions were never the enemy. Avoiding them was. Peace, y'all.